गिरिवरधारी यशोदानन्दन व्रजनरञ्जन यशोदा नन्दन व्रजनरञ्जन यमुनातीरावनचारि यमुनातीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी जय गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदा नंदन व्रज जनार्दन यशोदा नंदन व्रज जनार्दन यमुनातीरावनचारि यमुनातीरावनचारि जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय राधा माधव राघव राधे जय राधा रासबिहारी राधा रासबिहारी राधे जय गौरांगी बैंगलोरीश्वर गौरांगी जय जगन्नाथ जय बलदेवा जय सुभद्रा जय सुदर्शन जय लक्ष्मी नरसिंह जय अनंत देव लक्ष्मी नरसिंह जय अनंत देव जय निताय चैतन्य जय निताय चैतन्य निताय चैतन्य जय निताय चैतन्य जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय गुरुदेव गुरुदेव जय जय गुरुदेव निताय गौरा हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल। हरिनाम संकीर्तन महायज्ञ की जय जय विश्वपाद परमहंस परिव्रजाचार्य स्तोत्र शतक His Divine Grace, Shri Abhay Charanaravindra Bhaktivedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada ki jai. ISKCON founder Acharya, BBD founder Acharya, Savior of the whole universe, Jagat Guru Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajak Stotra Shatak. His Divine Grace, Shri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Shri Prabhupada ki jai. अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय, नमाचार्य श्री हरदास ठाकुर की जय, जय श्री रूप सनातन भट्ट रघुनाथ, श्री जीव गोपाल भट्टदास रघुनाथ छठ गोस्वामी प्रभु की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद, श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि और भक्त वृंद की जय। जय श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण चंद्र गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरी गोवर्धन की जय। मथुरा वृंदावन धाम की जय, मायापुर नवदीप धाम की जय, श्री क्षेत्र श्री जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय। गंगा माई की जय, जमुना माई की जय, कावेरी माई की जय, भक्ति देवी की जय, तुलसी महारानी की जय। हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की जय, ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। दामोदर कार्तिक मास की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे, हरि हरि बोल। All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories and glories and glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire. नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति मयि। मुखं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुलङ्गायतिं गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदिनतारिणं परमानन्दं माधवं श्रीचैतन्य ईश्वरम्। हरि ओम तत्सत्। Hare Krishna. So we'll continue our reading from Srimad Bhagavatam and reading from the fourth canto, eighth chapter. Eighth chapter is titled as. Please give me 1 minute to share my screen. Dhruv Maharaj leaves for the forest. And the verse number we're going to discuss today is the 26th verse. अहो तेज क्षत्रियाणां मनभङ्गम् अमृतस्यतम् बालोऽप्यम् आयं हृदधत्ते यत्समातुरसद्वच अहो तेज क्षत्रियाणां मनभङ्गम् अमृतस्यतम् बालोऽप्य आयं हृदधत्ते यत् सम्मतुरसद्वच अहो तेज क्षत्रियाणां मनभङ्गम् अमृतस्यतम् बालोऽप्यम् आयं हृदधत्ते यत् सम्मतुरसद्वच. Word-to-word translation. Aho, how surprising it is. Teja, power. Kshatriyanam, of the Kshatriyas. Manabhangam, hurting the prestige. Amrasyatam, unable to tolerate. Balaha, only a child. Api, although. I am this. Rida, at heart. Dhate, has taken. Yat, that which. Samatu, of the stepmother. Asat, unpalatable. Vacha, words. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Translation. How wonderful are the powerful Kshatriyas. They cannot tolerate even a slight infringement upon their prestige. Just imagine, this boy is only a small child, yet harsh words from his stepmother prove unbearable to him. Purport. The qualification of Kshatriyas are described in Bhagavad Gita. Two important qualifications are that they have sense of prestige and not to flee from the battle. It appears that Kshatriya blood within the body of Dhruva Maharaj was naturally very active. If the Brahminical, Kshatriya or Vaishya culture is maintained in the family, naturally the sons and the grandsons inherit the spirit of particular class. Therefore, according to the Vedic system, the samskara or the reformatory system is maintained very rigidly. If one fails to observe the reformatory measures current in the family, one is immediately degraded to a lower standard of life. Om Tat Sadda Bhaktivedanta Purport to Canto 4 of Srimad Bhagavatam, Chapter 8, chapter titled Dhruva Maharaj leaves home for the forest, and the text number is 26. Om Tat Sat Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurur Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Pathakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Tam Sachivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarobhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Welcome devotees to this morning Srimad Bhagavatam discussion, and as we said, we are discussing from the eighth chapter of Canto 4. This is where we talk about Suniti and Suruchi. Suruchi, as we discussed some time back, Suruchi is more to do with what is Ruchi for my body, and Suniti is what is as per Nyaya, Niti. So, Mother Suruchi was not very happy by the boy Dhruva sitting on the lap of his father, and she chastised him and got him down. And she said, if you have to really sit on your father's lap, you should have taken birth from my womb. Now, here it is an insult to his own mother, Suniti. So the boy really feels bad. And here also in this verse also we're talking about the qualities of the prestige of a Kshatriya. A Kshatriya's prestige is lost. He will not even continue in the body. He'll leave his body. We've seen many such examples of the past. And here in this particular verse, Prabhupada is advising that, one should continue the family traditions, or the Varna and Ashrama has to be followed. Especially the Varna. The Ashramas are something that needs to be really looked at separately, but especially the Varna, the four Varnas, Kshatriya, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. Why are they necessitated in the society, and how one needs to follow them is what is being implemented here. And if we really look at it, it is the Daivi Varnashrama. It is not just the normal Varnashrama that is being practiced. It is Daivi Varnashrama that is practiced. And on the discussion, when we look at this particular verse, here, Dhruva Maharaj is actually leaving to the forest just because he was insulted by his stepmother. And the nature of the Kshatriya is given here. Nature of the Kshatriya, Brahmana, is to give instructions which are executed by the Vaishyas and the Shudras. So these two Varnas of the society, Kshatriyas and Brahmanas, give instructions, and naturally the Vaishyas and the Shudras have to execute it. The Vaishyas don't want to get hurt, and risk their lives. And that is the reason that they do not really want to go to the fight, onto the battlefield and all of that. Not that they are um, not for defending others, but for money, I'm sure they will not mind risking their lives and getting hurt also. The most furious warriors are the Kshatriyas. Their bodily strength is very good. They go to the forest and kill the lion and the tiger. So we used to have this in the past where if we have to really ascertain the quality of a Kshatriya, he would be given a dagger, a chaku, and then he would be asked to go to the forest and kill a lion or a tiger with a knife. And earlier two options left. Either they come back after killing the lion, or they die while fighting. So that is where the ascertaining of the qualities of the Kshatriyas used to be happening in the past. Now gone are the days. Now the rulers are not even, they are actually Kalau Shudra. They are lower than the Shudras also. So as we saw, Kshatriyas were replaced by Vaishyas, and that's how the capitalism came in. And what will happen to a country, or what will happen to a state, or what will happen to a territory which is ruled by a madman? Yeah. These days, the Kshatriyas are like ruthless, and they are, gangsters kind of people. So we can't trust them. The so-called Kshatriyas, they're not actually Kshatriyas. They're so-called Kshatriyas. And the most important quality of a Kshatriya is that he has to be expert in sadhana. And he should avoid assassination either from inside or outside. Yeah, Arjuna is also speaking to Krishna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. And he's telling him that why should we kill our own kinsmen just for a small piece of land? That's the quality of a great Kshatriya. He's not looking at, his own benefit, saying that, okay, I will be the ruler. I will have a big piece of land. I'll have all the satisfaction. But he's thinking that, for that small piece of land, why should I really look at it? Let's look at this particular shloka from Bhagavad Gita 1.36. This shloka says, Papam eva shradyat asman hataivatan atalyatanu tasman naraha vyayam hatantum tristarastansa bandhava swagnana hi katahadva sukhina shama madhava. The translation goes like this. Sin will overcome us if we slay such aggressors. Therefore, it is not proper for us to kill the sons of Dhritarashtra and our own friends. What should we gain, O Krishna, husband of goddess of fortune? And how would we be happy by killing our own kinsmen? So Krishna is, being asked this question, saying, why should we kill our own man just for a small piece of land or just for the Rajya? But then as per the Vedic injunctions, there are 6 kinds of aggressors. And who are the 6 kinds of aggressors? One is somebody who is given poison, a poison giver, and one who has set fire to the house, one who attacks with deadly weapons, one who plunders the riches, one who occupies another's land, and one who kidnaps a wife. Such aggressors are at once to be killed. This is what is, as per our Shastras, very clearly. If there are the 6 kinds of aggressors, they should be immediately killed. And such killings of aggressor is quite benefiting to any ordinary person. But Arjuna was not an ordinary person. He was saintly by character. Though he was a Kshatriya, but his characters were very saintly. And therefore, he wanted to deal with them in saintliness. He wanted, okay, please give us some land. We wanted only 5. So the ultimate ask that Pandavas had, but just give us about 5 villages. We don't want a big kingdom. We don't want, anything big. Just that you give us 5 villages and we will plow the land, till the land, and then, grow and then have a peaceful life. Although a responsible man in the administration of the state is required to be saintly, he should not be cowardly. For example, Lord Rama was so saintly that people even now are anxious to live in his kingdom of Lord Rama, which is called Ramarajya. But Lord Rama never showed any cowardice. Ravana was an aggressor against Rama because Ravana kidnapped Rama's wife, Sita. But Lord Rama gave him sufficient lesson. He went on requesting him. He went on telling him that you should return. He sent out messengers saying that we don't want to fight with you. Just return Mother Sita to us and we are good to go. And nowhere in the history that you will see such a sufficient time that was given and sufficient lessons that request was sent to him. In Arjuna's case, however, one should consider the special type of aggressors, namely his own grandfather, his own teacher, friends, sons, grandsons, etc. Because of them, Arjuna thought that he should not take the severe step necessarily against ordinary aggressors. Besides that, saintly persons are advised to forgive. Such injunctions for saintly persons are more important than any political emergency. Arjuna considered that rather than kill his own kinsmen for political reason, it would have been better to forgive them on the grounds of religion and saintly behavior. He did not therefore consider such killing profitable simply for the matter of temporary bodily happiness. After all, kingdoms and pleasures derived therefrom are not permanent. So why should he take the risk of life and eternal salvation by killing his own kinsmen? Arjuna's address to Krishna as Madhava, or the husband of goddess of fortune, is also significant in this connection. He wanted to point out to Krishna that as the husband of goddess of fortune, he should not induce Arjuna to take up the matter, which would ultimately bring about misfortune. Krishna, however, never brings misfortune to anyone, to say nothing to his devotees. So, very nice statement. Krishna never brings misfortune to anyone, to say nothing about his devotees. So that means he doesn't bring it to anybody, but at the same time, to his devotees, he never brings. Yeah. So both the statements are there. People still want to live in the kingdom of Rama, Ramarajya, what we call it. He gave lots of lessons and reasons to return Sita Mata, but finally he had to kill Ravana to get Mother Sita back. And also there's another statement which is given here in this particular purport, 1.36, is saying, after all, the kingdom and satisfactions derived are all temporary. They're there today, tomorrow you lose them. So there's no point in, hankering over it, saying that, I'll have satisfaction if I kill this. We cannot think of anything more than devotional service or pleasing Krishna. That should be the bottom line for devotees. We can't think beyond this. Even when it is the matter of Arjuna, he did only to please Krishna, not otherwise. Whenever Krishna said do it, he did it. And he always said, I'm doing it because you are telling me. Because you are telling me to do something, even killing, I will kill. I don't mind. So that should be the mentality of people said, whatever we can think, there cannot be anything beyond or more than devotional service or pleasing Krishna. Now, in the purport also, Srila Prabhupada says all the Kshatriyas have become cheaters, like Afghanistan or Iran. They sit in the bunkers and watch the TV, the so-called majors and the major generals and all that. They sit in the bunkers, below, which is very, very safe. Nobody can, no bombs can reach them and all of that. And they watch TV there and just keep giving instructions to those people who are soldiers on the battlefield. And they get killed. So the concept of Kshatriyas is completely gone. Kshatriyas are people who lead from the front. Now the Kshatriyas' mental condition is of psychopaths. They think that whatever is good for them is the highest order. They lie, they make, very motivating, cheating speeches. All of that happens with the Kshatriyas now. It's very common. We see everywhere in the world, whether it is democracy or whether it is communism, or it is, the rulers who are ruling. Yeah. So another example of a Kshatriya, though it is not a very good example to give, but these are good qualities that one could really see. So there was this person called Fidel Castro, who was a military commander, who took over charge, who took over the country and, removed those present days government. And immediately, as soon as he came to power, he stopped the prostitution and gambling. It's a good step, prostitution should not be there, gambling should not be there. People should not be lured into breaking away of the basic principles of dharma. So he took over the country and he took over all the wealth as government properties. He established schools, hospitals, etc. And it is said there were about 23 attempts on his life, but he survived somehow. These attempts were from the CIA and the American capitalists and all, because he had taken away all the wealth, all the companies which were there, all the units which were there, everything became the government property there. So in some way, though this is in material comparison, but anyway, he did some good things after becoming the ruler or after coming to power, of stopping the prostitution and gambling. And that should be some of the areas where our Kshatriyas or our rulers should really, or our so-called political leaders should really focus on. And if we depend on Krishna, the more we get guided. When you go to Krishna and request him saying that guide me, he guides within. We don't have any intention of raising an army of Kshatriyas. The business of Krishna conscious person is to bring the Kshatriyas and to get them to engage into sadhana and go back home, back to Godhead. Kshatriyas are very strong in sadhana because they are very determined people. By nature, they are determined people. So that is why their sadhana will also be very good. And that is why we should get them, our businesses, to just bring Kshatriyas to engage them into their sadhana and go back home, back to Godhead. Krishna consciousness can be realized by being in any varna. And that is called the Daivi Varnashrama, as I was discussing with you. You may be anybody, but by offering everything to Krishna, that's the objective of a devotee. Yeah, you offer whatever you have to Krishna, and that's Daivi Varnashrama Dharma. You may be working, you may be managing the temple, you may be doing pujari seva, you may be on the counter, or you may be doing a business to support your family, or you may be a professional working for a multinational or a company. But the whole objective of a devotee is offering everything to Krishna. Whatever is my position, I offer it to Krishna. Whatever money I have, I offer it to Krishna. So that's the way we have to really look at it. And we promise that you can go back home with this practice. Ours is not to redecorate the world. Yeah, we don't want to, create beautiful structures. Don't want. Yes, Srila Prabhupada said create beautiful temples, and which, he also started, and his Prabhupada Anugas, the followers of Srila Prabhupada, still continue to build beautiful temples across the world. But our philosophy is of rejection. You may be surprised to hear this when we say philosophy of rejection. So philosophy of rejection means that we reject the material pleasures, or we reject the material world, because we don't belong here. We belong to the spiritual world, and that is where we have to go back. It's not like, it is, many people say that Jesus will come and you live for 1,000 years happily. You have so many good things to do about all of that. So we are not looking at living for 1,000 years. We are not looking at, having comforts of life. We're not looking at any of those things. It is basically, we are looking at the philosophy of rejection, saying that I don't belong to this place. This is a material world, which is a temporary place, which is full of dukhalayam. And dukhalayam is also ashashvatam. It's permanent dukha. And the sense of prestige is the initial point of this purport. Our self-esteem should be grounded in the spiritual knowledge, which is very important. Here you see a small boy. His self-esteem or his prestige was one thing which was actually driving Dhruva Maharaj into the forest. Otherwise, a 5-year-old child, why will he think of going to the forest? And the forest also, not like today's forest where most of the trees are cut. Those days, the forests were dense and always inhabited by very ferocious animals, and anybody would get disturbed to go into the forest. Yeah. And in such a situation, the small boy, Dhruva Maharaj, is thinking of going into the forest and looking for Krishna or searching for Krishna. Yeah. So we become actually Lord's policeman. We do what's good for people, what's good for public safety. And the whole intent is that they should go back home. During this month of Kartik, when we go out, requesting people to do Deepdan, it is basically for the good of the people. It's not that the devotees will derive any benefit. Yes, there is definitely a spiritual benefit which comes into the devotees who are preaching the holy name, or those who are going out and taking the risk of spreading Krishna consciousness. But Our whole intent is that it should be good of the people and they should go back home. And this can happen when we are 100% engaged in Krishna's service. Everything that we have, all that we know, all that we do should be engaged in Krishna's service. Srila Prabhupada made this very bold statement, sometime, saying that atomic bomb can also be used in Krishna's service. So the meaning of this is that Srila Prabhupada didn't want to have atomic bombs and put it on other countries. He said use or engage everything in Krishna's service. And here we see the quality of Dhruv Maharaj. Dhruv Maharaj is not a fitting Kshatriya if he's not fighting for his kingdom. Yeah, he's actually able to control his senses. Initially, he wanted Krishna to supply his order. He thought Krishna is because his mother Suniti said, you'll have a bigger kingdom than that of your father, Uttanapa. So he says, how do I get a bigger kingdom than my father? How do I get a bigger, position than my father? Mother says that only Lord Vishnu can give. And he asked him, where is Lord Vishnu available? So he says he's available in the dense forest. So initially he thought, let me go meet Krishna and make him my order supplier, saying that I want a bigger kingdom than my father. He has insulted me, and that's the quality of a Kshatriya. But then he later realizes that, it's not. So Dhruv Maharaj also says, I was actually looking for small pearls, whereas you give me a diamond. Yeah. So our objective should be to dedicate ourselves in Krishna consciousness. Sometimes we find it difficult to manage our Krishna consciousness. So in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, there's a nice instruction that Krishna gives. I will read the translation for the benefit of all of us. And why is it saying that Krishna consciousness is the best system of all the systems? So the translation goes like this: having awakened faith in the narrations of my glories, being disgusted with all material activities, knowing that all sense gratifications lead to misery, but still being unable to renounce all sense enjoyment, my devotee should remain happy and worship me with great faith and conviction. Even though he is sometimes engaged in sense enjoyment, my devotee knows that all sense gratification leads to miserable results, and he is sincerely repenting such activities. Devotee knows that, sense gratification will never make him happy. It's only the temporary happiness that comes. But he says he knows this because of the Shastras, because of Guru, and because of the Vaishnava's mercy, that, sense gratification actually leads to miserable condition. And he sincerely repents, once he does it. Yeah. So Krishna consciousness is the best system for all the systems. And that is why it says, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nameva Kevalam. Kalau Nasteva, 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 Gatiranyata. So chanting 16 rounds, following 4 regulative principles is the best thing. And one has to realize that my identity is beyond the 4 varnas and ashramas. I'm a devotee of the Lord, and I have to take care of all the visitors when we are in the temple. When there are people who visit us in the temple, we should not be always worried about what we are doing. We should take care of the visitors and other devotees as to how can we give. So, His Holiness Japtak Swami Guru Maharaj always emphasizes on devotee care. All the other Maharaj also, the great Vaishnavas within our parampara, Sri Prabhupada's disciples, they all talk about care of devotees, devotee care. Devotee care does not only mean, external care, taking care of them very well, looking at their, physical condition, their mental condition, assisting them in their mental condition, and also become a guide. See, if we are qualified and if we have been there for much longer, if we have experience, it is also good to guide the younger generation of devotees who are coming up. So that's the most important part of it. Varnas and ashramas have to be established as per the Daivi Varnashrama. Not that just because I am born in a doctor family, I have to become a doctor, despite my not having any qualification, despite not having any education that I'm supposed to be becoming a doctor. I can't just take a knife and go and, operate somebody. That's not right. Likewise, if just because I'm born in a family where my father is a politician, I also by default become a politician, despite not having qualification of a politician, because a politician needs to be like Chanakya Pandit. He should know all the principles and how one needs to rule the world or rule the society. All that needs to be very clearly looked at. But one cannot just say, because my father used to be a minister, I also want to be a politician and a minister. So one needs to be very careful. He needs to qualify to have that position to come up and accordingly execute his orders. So going back to today's, verse, it says, how powerful are the Kshatriyas? They cannot tolerate even a slight infringement upon their prestige. Just imagine, the boy is only a small child, yet harsh words from his stepmother prove unbearable to him. So likewise, a devotee also should not hear any harsh words about other Vaishnavas. He should immediately leave that place or close his ears. If there is some insult that is happening to a Vaishnava, or an insult or an infringement that is happening on a Vaishnava, he should just leave that place if he's not able to fight. Otherwise, one should fight there and say what you're doing is wrong. So the qualities of Kshatriyas are there, which is very important. Likewise, the qualities of devotees, as I made the last statement, is to ensure that I'm a devotee and I have to take care of the other devotees and the visitors who come to the temple. So I will stop the discussion here. In case if there are any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. Or if there are any corrections, I'm happy to accept the corrections. And if there's nothing, then we will end the session here. We will continue to talk about Dhruv Maharaj going into the forest as we move further. The other speakers, as they take up their own slots, they will also be talking about it and look at the determination that Dhruv Maharaj had, and what happens on the way he meets a bona fide spiritual master, Narad Muni, how he guides him into spiritual life, and then how Dhruv Maharaj, when he sees the Lord by his own eyes, how is his reaction and how it changes his mind. So, as we discussed, I was looking for some small, pieces of glass, and you gave me a diamond. That is what happens. So, likewise, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also was, in the initial days, was all about being a Pandita. He also defeated Keshav Kashmiri. But as he moved further, the moment he got the guidance from his spiritual master, Shri Ishwara Puri, and then everything changed. His nature of being a Pandita also changed. His, attitude towards people also changed. And from then onwards, he started the preaching of the holy name very, very aggressively. So that's the difference that we really see. How when one gets a spiritual master, how much of a difference it can bring into their life. Great. So we will end the session here. Thank you very much for joining. I also thank the temple management for giving me this opportunity to speak on Srimad Bhagavatam, though without much of qualification that I have. I tried to give whatever is given in our Shastras and read something and hear some lectures and then talk about it. Thank you very much for your patient hearing. Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Let's offer our humble obeisances to all the Vaishnava devotees who are like desire trees, fulfilling the desires of the fallen material soul. Vancha kalpatarobhyascha kripa sindhubhyayavascha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Anantakoti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Dandat Pranam.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. Repti Nandan, Prabhu, Dandavats, Hare Krishna.